It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of February 20th, 2004. We got 4 movies to look at today. Not a whole lot of memorable ones here, and I think most of them are pretty much the type of movies you expect to see in the dumping months of January and early February. So, will we find a winner today? We got 4 films. Let's find out. Let's start off with the first movie here. Lindsay Lohan's first film after the success of Freaky Friday. Here we have Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. God, that whole trailer felt like a fake movie. I mean, you know those commercials that you see on TV where they have like the fake movie, yes, where they try to do like the fake movie trailer voiceover guy type of thing. That's what this whole trailer feels like. But no, this is what Disney put out, thinking that it was going to be a hit, and well, it'll open up in early February, so that should probably give you an early indication of what this movie is going to be like. So Lindsay Lohan stars in this. Is an aspiring teenage actress whose family moves from New York City to New Jersey, which really is not that far, really. I mean, it's not going to stop her from making it big in the Big Apple, honestly. But you also have Adam Garcia playing her favorite rock musician, Glenn Hetty playing her mother, Allison Pill is her best friend, and introducing Megan Fox in her theatrical debut. You see in the trailer there. And needless to say, she probably had the more successful career out of between the two of them. I mean, the whole movie is focused on Lindsay Lohan. People forget Megan Fox has had a more successful career than Lindsay Lohan did, and she got better with age, like in terms of the movies that she picked, at least for a little bit there after the Transformers movies. But we're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about the movie itself, and yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, this is a film that was clearly trying to cash in on the success of Freaky Friday, Lindsay Lohan's success in there. And this was not the 2004 Lindsay Lohan movie that would really cash in on that and show that, hey, this girl's got some range as an actress. No. That's still a couple months away, and I think you know what film I'm talking about. But this is a Disney Channel movie blown up for the big screen. I mean, from the trailer with the fake-ass voiceover guy, I mean, from the idea alone, like, everything about this movie just feels like a bad Disney Channel original movie, except this was blown up on the big screen, hoping to cash in on the success of Lindsay Lohan and Freaky Friday, and it just fails miserably on so many different levels. It's a movie that's not really that funny, it's not really that clever, it's not really that smart, there's not a whole lot of good direction in this. The writing overall is not that great. This is based off of a novel by the same name. I don't know. I don't feel like the story could have really been done better if he got somebody else to do it. I think Hilary Duff was attached at one point to do this, and then when she passed on it, Lindsay Lohan took it over. And even then, I don't even think Hilary Duff could have saved this movie, honestly. I mean, maybe in the hands of a better director and a better writer, maybe this could have been saved. But as it is, it's just an overblown Disney Channel movie for the big screen. I mean, really, there's no memorability to it whatsoever. It's no Freaky Friday, and it's certainly no Mean Girls. But it is what it is, and it's not a very good movie in general. It didn't even really become that big of a hit. It was the highest of the new releases, but even then, that really isn't saying a whole lot. So that's Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. And for our next movie, remember in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs with the the thing that made the food out of there, and there's a USB port that literally says "Welcome to Mooseport." You ever wonder what that was referencing to? If you never saw this movie we're about to show you, here's what I'm talking about. Couple things here. One, this was the movie that literally Gene Hackman said, you know, I've had a good career. I think I'm going to go ahead and get the hell on out of here, because this was the last film he did before he eventually retired, and Ray Romano's basically just playing Ray Barone in a movie, and that's some of the many problems that we're going to delve into here. But most importantly, the fact that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs actually made a reference to this, even though nobody on that movie, as far as I know, worked on this. It's just because that movie existed and they needed a funny in-joke there. Like, that should tell you everything you need to know about the longevity of this movie. If I can remember that one little detail in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but not this movie, we got a real problem here. So the story here is that you have former President of the United States, Monroe Cole, played by Gene Hackman, who comes to his vacation home in the town of Mooseport, Maine, to escape from his ex-wife, Charlotte, played by Christine Baranski. And you have Ray Romano as Ray Barone. I mean, come on, he's Ray Barone. And I know his name is Harold Handy Harrison, but come on, he's freaking Ray Barone in this. And again, we'll get to the problems with this in a little bit. He's the town's local hardware store owner and plumber, and his job keeps him busy that he's neglecting his relationship with his girlfriend, played by Maura Tierney, and the town veterinarian, who's on the verge of dumping him. And after the death of the town mayor, the council decides to approach the president to run for office. And because the president is hitting on his girlfriend, Ray Romano says, "You know what? I'm gonna run for mayor of Mooseport too." And it just leads into this political satire comedy that should be a lot better, all things considered. In fact, had a completely different approach to it when they were originally announced this. Like, this was a film that was announced back in 2002. It was going to star Ray Romano and Dustin Hoffman. It was going to be directed by Rod Laurie. And it was supposed to be a different film called Mooseport. And then a couple months after that was announced, Laurie exited the film. Hoffman decided not to do the film, and so Ray Romano was still on board, and they brought in Donald Petrie, who is a much different director than Rod Laurie. Basically took the film from what kind of probably would have been an indie comedy to a goofy, silly comedy with Gene Hackman involved in it. And yeah, the film just doesn't work, and we can just get to the big problem right from the get-go, and that's Ray Romano. Like, I'm sorry. I love Ray Romano. Everybody Loves Raymond is great. I think he's a terrific comedian. Like, he's a great actor in general, but this was just a movie that just, like I said, the biggest problem with this character is that it's just Ray Barone, except this time he's not a sports writer with his wife Deborah in New York City. No, he's a hardware salesman. Store owner who, for some reason, they used this again when he was on The Simpsons. Like, it's basically the same character in this movie, but in The Simpsons world, it makes sense because The Simpsons is an animated cartoon. It's not supposed to be anything like in a story like this where you have to really separate the actor's most notable role from the role that he's playing in here. But here, it's just too hard to look at this and not think Ray Barone, because Ray Romano is literally not doing anything different than the character he plays on Everybody Loves Raymond in this film. And when he tries to have these bits of comedy in here, like the whole thing in that trailer there, like the whole thing about, what color underwear you wear, like, it's this whole scene that there probably was something funny in there, and maybe with somebody else in that role, they could have made it work. But you're asking Ray Romano to do that, and that's just not what I expect from Ray Romano as a director, as a filmmaker, an actor as a whole. It's just like the whole movie doesn't work because you can't get really invested in the characters whatsoever, because they're just kind of stock characters. And Ray Romano, like I said, he's trying his best, but it's just not enough for me to distance him from the character what we all know him for, from a role like this. Now, luckily, he's gotten better with movies since then, where he's not just playing a straightforward copy of his character from Everybody Loves Raymond. He's been in a lot of movies where he's shown he's got range as an actor. The Ice Age movies, for example, is a perfect example of that. He's done stuff like the Get Shorty series that was on Epix. He was on Parenthood, the TV series. He was on Men of a Certain Age. The Big Sick he was great in. The Irishman he was great in. He's got range as a whole, but this is a film that's literally... The director probably looked at this and said, well, you're Ray Barone, so you could just play that character and people will buy this easily. And it also wouldn't hurt as much if the cast in here wasn't so damn talented and so wasted in this. Like, you got Ray Romano, you got Gene Hackman, you got Marcia Gay Harden, Maura Tierney, Rip Torn, Christine Baranski, June Squibb is in the movie, Fred Savage. I mean, just too many good, talented people in here just being wasted on a film that had so much potential to work with here. And the writer for this is not even a bad writer, Tom Schulman. I mean, he's written for... this is the guy that won the Oscar for Dead Poets Society. This is the guy that wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He wrote What About Bob? I mean, he's written a lot of very good stuff. And it just feels like this movie was just there to just because we got to cash in on the fact that we got Ray Romano for this, and everybody loves him on Everybody Loves Raymond, and yet nobody really bought into it. I mean, like I said before at the beginning of this, if the one thing that you remember from this movie is the little in-joke from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, you did not have that much of a lasting legacy. If people remember that more than this film. This is just a boring film. It plays it way too safe. It's one of those movies that's a political satire. Go all in on the satirical political elements here. This feels like a film that probably would have been made today with the way that comedy right nowadays goes for the safe route in terms of political satire. I mean, this was back when you could really get away with some stuff, and no one would have really batted an eye because it's political satire. Saturday Night Live. This was when they were doing it so well, and in this feels like a film that would have been easily released around this time period, and it just doesn't work. It's just a lackluster film. A lot of good talent involved here. A decent director, and just nothing of value whatsoever. This is a terrible film. I was really let down because I was actually looking forward to this from the trailer, but when I saw the trailer 20 years ago, I should say. But as it is, yeah, definitely not worth it in the long run. Speaking of comedies I was looking forward to seeing and I was completely let down by, here's another one. DreamWorks' attempt to create another successful like Road Trip and Old School. This is Euro Trip. And let's be honest, you only remember this movie because of Scotty Doesn't Know. I mean, come on, Matt Damon singing that song, and it's just it's the most memorable song in the whole movie. And actually, it's the most memorable thing about the whole movie because it's the one funny scene in this whole movie that makes it worth it. Everything else, like the reason why Road Trip and Old School have so much longevity to them is because they were very funny, and they were also the perfect definition of a sex comedy done right. This one just doesn't really work, and it stars Scott Mechlowitz, who plays Scotty Thompson, an American high school graduate who travels across Europe in search of his German pen pal Mike, played by Jessica Boers, and accompanied by his friends Cooper, played by Jacob Pitts, twin siblings Jenny and Jamie, played by Michelle Trachtenberg and Travis Wester. Scott's quest takes him to England, France, the Netherlands, Slovakia, Germany, and Italy, encountering awkward, humorous, and embarrassing situations along the way, including, as you see in the trailer there, incest between the two twin siblings. And, yeah, this is a wasted opportunity. Michelle Trachtenberg in this, I'll give her this. Michelle Trachtenberg, that Harriet the Spy grew up, man. Like, again, like, when it's the sex stuff, it works, but then again, we have the internet. In 2004, you had the internet, so there's literally no reason why you should be watching this movie, because you can easily find this stuff that you really want to see from this online. And you know, what's the rest of the movie worth it to see the sights of the places they go to here? And even when they do that, it's not worth it because the film just really does not give you what you want to see from it. Like, there's literally elements that they take from lesser sex comedies, like Tomcats. There's like Lucy Lawless is playing a dominatrix in here, and it's like literally taking the same type of scenario from the movie Tomcats, except I think Tomcats did it better, and that was a terrible movie on its own merits. But this whole movie is just wasted opportunity one after another. And I feel like they were trying to do this because they thought that they had the opportunity to do the same thing that they did with Road Trip and Old School. But the difference is they had good directors involved in it. They had Todd Phillips behind it. They had good talent behind it. And I think they entrusted way too much in this very young cast in general. They thought they had the film already in the bag. And the opportunity just isn't worth it, because even if you want to see just the sights and sounds of this places they go to here, they don't really do all that much whatsoever. The jokes are pretty lackluster when they have to do the nudity and all that. Like, it gets so ridiculously stupid. Like, there's a scene where the jacuzzi is where there's a guy that gets stuck in the jacuzzi and this girl is naked, and the guy's just like, "Oh, you got something on your chest," and like she's literally just rubbing her breast for literally a good 5 minutes with no real joke whatsoever, and it just fails miserably of what they're trying to do here. And like, it also is kind of sexist too, not just for the nudity, but the fact that almost every girl, as Elvis Mitchell wrote in his review, almost every girl in the movie has fewer than 10 lines to speak before and has to take her top off. That's literally what they do in the film, and it's just like, you know, Road Trip and Old School at least had more characters being developed in those films. This is just a movie that is not really worth it in the end because there's just nothing of value to it. The jokes aren't working. The young cast they have doesn't work. The writing isn't very good. The comedy isn't working good. Even the sex scenes that do make the film somewhat worth it. Again, you don't need to watch the movie. Just go online, look for them there. I just saved you $15 on the whole film. I mean, it's just not a very good movie, and one that I was really let down because I did like Road Trip. I did like Old School. I think that DreamWorks really thought they had another one in the bag because Old School was such a success the year before. But Old School worked because you had top talents like Will Ferrell, Luke Wilson, Vince Vaughn, a strong comedy cast, a funny concept, a film that was just so much better in general than this. This just feels like a movie that they were hoping to repeat the same success they had before and just failed miserably at it. And it's a shame because the possibilities were there, just the execution was off. So yeah, major letdown on this. Like I said, if the one thing you remember from this movie is Scotty Doesn't Know, probably not a good sign for the rest of the film in general. So, and again, kind of like with the Cat in the Hat, It's got the same people who wrote The Cat in the Hat and wrote for Seinfeld. You know, Jeff Schaffer, Alec Berg, David Mandel. How do you make 2 bad movies over the course of 3 months, honestly? But I digress. So we've had 3 losers so far this week. Can we wrap it up on a high note with the last one we have here? Meg Ryan, Omar Epps, and Charles S. Dutton's Against the Ropes. This woman also wrote Save the Last Dance, so she's not a terrible writer in general, but that line just felt like a line that would have been written by a white person that was trying to be black. It felt like something you would hear from Marcy X, but nope, not that whatsoever. This is directed by Charles S. Dutton, and we also seen the film. It's his feature film directorial debut, and you know, for Meg Ryan, this is her chance to make amends for In the Cut, which was a movie that was literally existing by the fact that she was going to get naked in that. And it's like this movie almost had an opportunity to work, but then you actually watch the film. She stars as Jackie Kalen, who is the first woman to achieve success as a boxing manager, and she actually meets up with this fighter played by Omar Epps, and tries to turn him into a star and into a star boxer. And Kalen actually has a bit role playing a reporter in this, and a few lines in the scenes where the press interviews the principal characters she's involved in. And you know, like I said, there's a lot of possibilities in here. There's just a great cast overall in this. I mean, Meg Ryan is really good. Can be really good when you give her the right material to work with. Omar Epps, Tim Daly, Kerry Washington, Charles S. Dutton, Holt McCaney from Lights Out. You know, Tony Shalhoub is very different than what you would expect to see him in. Because you expect that when you see Tony Shalhoub, you expect that guy from Monk. But no, he's playing a more dignified character. He doesn't look like a guy that's seen better days, like the guy in Men in Black that he plays. But like, it looks like a much different character than we're used to seeing. And you see the possibilities there, but you also see, man, this is just another knockoff of Rocky. I mean, it's literally a Rocky knockoff. And I guess to the movie's credit, it's not the worst, and I guess Meg Ryan is putting her all into it. I mean, it's not a bad performance by her or Omar Epps. I think they're both doing a very good job here. And now that I think about it, the cast overall is, for the most part, doing a decent job. It's just they're not really given a whole lot to do. I mean, this is stuff that we've seen done to death on so many different other movies of this caliber, like, you know, Digstown, The Great White Hype, like I said, the Rocky movies, and like, you really have to distance yourself and do something different compared to what was already successful in the past if you're going to find success with a concept like this. And it's not like it's not Meg Ryan's fault that the movie is bad. It's just not written well, because I'm pretty sure Paramount, all they wanted from this was another Rocky movie. And it just really is not on that caliber of level that this thing should be on. And it's a shame, because the pieces are definitely there. It's the story. Like, you've seen the story done to death so many times, and it's just... And you expect better from Charles S. Dutton. Charles S. Dutton is a phenomenal actor who's done a ton of great work throughout his career. And for his directorial debut, you expect something a lot better than this. I mean, this is just... It's just a lazy film. And there's just pieces there that just work to the film's advantage, and just from the cast alone. But other than that, though, it's just not worth it in the end. It's a film that has so much potential to it. It's a very interesting story idea, but just bad execution overall. Just nothing about it makes it work in the end. And it's a shame, because I really did went into this with a little bit higher expectations, because I do like Meg Ryan. I think she is much better than people let on. That she was picking some really bad movies around this time. And this one is just a film that had some potential to it, but just needed a better writer and director to really show off the true possibilities of what the story could be like. And yeah, just, I'll give it this. It's probably the best movie we have this entire week, but then again, not saying a whole lot. So that is Against the Ropes. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We will wrap February up on the next episode with 4 big movies, one big one in particular, and that is Mel Gibson's The Controversial Passion of the Christ. We also have Ashley Judd in the thriller Twisted. The sequel that nobody was asking for in 2004, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. And Broken Lizard's follow-up to Super Troopers, and that was Club Dread. So we'll take a look at all 4 of those movies on the next episode, hoping for better success than this week's films, surely. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.